Welcome back to another episode of Drivers for Drivers. As you can tell, today Ken's not with us. We're missing Ken and his beard.
I bet he's on a milk carton somewhere.
That's right. To my far right, it's good to have Kenny back with us.
I dug my way out of a hole.
That's good. That's good. You had a big one going there. Arnell in the background. Hey. And we got a special guest here with us today. So Brye is here from the shop.
Nice to meet everybody. My name's Brye, and I've been working for Giltner since before I was alive. Pretty much got started just looking for work, and my brother was running the shop at the time, and have just kind of moved up and been there ever since. So,
well, I tell you what, Brye, you do an amazing job. You and your team, you've got a big fleet to take care of, and you guys are just jumping back there all the time. We definitely appreciate it, and I'm trying to keep that equipment up and going and whatnot. A lot of times when we're talking to the business and stuff, we got a lot of owner-operators, and we talk about pennies right now. Rates are tough. The market's tough. Everybody's looking at trying to make money and spend less money. What kind of things can one of our owner-operators do to try to save money in their repairs?
well, the unfortunate thing is that trucks always break down, right? So you always have to make sure you're probably saving at least 10 to 15% of your income towards repairs, whether that goes to maintenance. You might have a good year where you don't have a lot of breakdowns, and if you're saving that 15%, you're going to have a nest egg there. So if you do end up having like a bigger breakdown, you're covered. You don't have to stress about it. That's what that money's there for. So.
Oh, that's great. That's great. What kind of things can we do to help you and the folks in our shop help you guys give us better service? There's things that we try to do, but we're probably not the best at it. So what can we do?
Right. Probably the number one thing is just keep that really good communication. The number one thing is, like, if we don't know what's wrong with something over the road, if something breaks down, anything like that, there's nothing we can do about it. So, if trailers are getting dropped somewhere and they have issues, we have to know about it in order to fix it. So, the next guy who goes to pick something up like that, they're not going to have any issues with it. Anything coming into the shop, probably the number one thing is we do scheduling there. So, and we do that for one reason, because I have a huge pet peeve, and I hate having drivers wait in a shop because we deal with it over the road all the time. Mm-hmm. You guys don't make money for sitting. So scheduling your work in, you'll get a hold of Steve or myself. We'll schedule that stuff in. Any repairs over the road, we're trying to get these things going, calling them. There's a lot of things we can do, but the number one thing is we have to be communicated to in order to do that. So
You bet. We're in a changing of the season. Definitely today is getting up into the 70s, and I'm sure a lot of our guys are running down south in the 80s and 90s. So it's winter hopefully is behind us, and we're getting into nice weather. What's some of the things that our team probably really needs to be looking at on their equipment, seeing how it's starting to change and get much warmer out there?
So probably the main thing that heat causes are issues with reefers. Basically what happens, dirt gets trapped in those condensers. You got to get that stuff washed out. I mean, it's just like trying to blow air through a dirty air filter. It doesn't work. So you need that efficiency there. It's also a major thing that you change your cabin air filters about every 25,000 miles to make sure, your AC is going to work. If you're ever having problems with it heating up randomly and then it's okay, then most likely it's a cabin air filter. And the thing about all these trucks and trailers, a lot of stuff is simple. So, it might just something be real easy, just normal maintenance, getting stuff washed, simple stuff.
You bet.
Don't wait till there's a problem. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that helps. Preventative maintenance.
For sure. What would you say is the largest ticket item that you see kind of going through the shop steadily as far as repairs go? What item do we have the most issues with?
Probably on the trailer side, probably just mostly brake wear. There's not really anything that's like breaking terribly often. Each unit has its own issues. For trucks, we're mainly dealing with, for Freightliners, it's usually like wheel speed sensor issues, which, your ABS light, traction control, all that stuff comes on. A lot of coolant leaks, as simple as just tightening a clamp. So I always recommend you just have a small toolbox because, that might save you so much time just having something to tighten down a clamp or something we can walk you through. Like a funny story the other day, I had a driver call me having an issue with his reefer. It was throwing a RPM code on it. So I knew right away what was wrong with it. And so these have a solenoid on them that controls the throttle, and there's a little rod on the end of that solenoid that connects to a little ball joint. So I know that they pop off every once in a while. So the ball joint, basically it wears out a little bit. So we ended up fixing that trailer with a paper clip to get that thing running again. So
You've never done anything like that, have you, Kenny?
I always had a bigger set of tools.
There's usually a running joke in the shop that, like, my name's McBriver, just because I can use a toothpick or whatever to fix anything out there. So it's kind of funny that I actually did that.
That's funny.
Thought I seen something about someone forgot their airbags down and couldn't figure out why the buzzers were going off in their truck.
Yep. That'll cause a little grinding in the transmission too. Don't recommend running that for a long time, but yeah, any buzzers, usually something's wrong. So, but we got it figured out, so we're good.
That's good. It's good stuff.
Do you take bribes for after hours and weekends?
My name is in bribes, so I might.
I've known Brye since he was just changing tires and oil, and shoot, you're still in high school, weren't you?
I've been there longer than you. Like I said before I was alive, been working there. I think I was born like 2 miles from Giltner, so really haven't gone very far.
No, that's good. That's good. So, Kenny, welcome back. Definitely. You missed like 3 episodes.
I did.
You did.
Two, 3, who's counting?
What are you seeing? You're back into planning and hard and heavy into it. What are you seeing out there right now as far as the market?
Well, it's cruddy.
It is cruddy.
One good thing is we've picked up some new customers and we're starting to haul some of that stuff, so that's a good sign.
Mm-hmm.
Our fleet is about full. I don't know if we can handle too many more drivers, can we?
Yeah, we've always averaged about like 10 to 20 empty trucks at a time, so that's just kind of the normal. Most of those trucks are in a process of getting ready for new drivers. Pretty much the overall goal when we get those trucks is to get them back to OEM. So you guys feel like you're getting into a brand new truck. Whatever they're detailed, you get new mattresses, service work's done, warranty side, tire side, all that. So we just want to make sure you're prepared when you head out.
You bet. I think we've got some trucks that are ready to go too right now down in Carthage as well. So anybody coming in from that area who will go through orientation in Carthage, I think we got some trucks and trailers ready to go.
Boy, they've had some bad weather down
Oh,
there.
yes, they have.
Boy.
Yes, they have. Plenty of rain down in that part of the country. Yeah, pretty dangerous. Pretty dangerous. Wanted to talk a little bit on our safety topic today about dock safety. And our drivers go to a multitude of different types of customers. We go to some real big customers that are all out with dock locks, and they've got the lighting that's operated by the door. If the door's up, you got a red light, and then when it's down, you got a green light. Whether the dock lock is locked to the trailer, ICC bar or not, wheel chocks, the whole 9 yards. We also go to some customers that may not have that at the dock. But our drivers, our professional drivers that are out there, you do an amazing job when it comes to defensive driving. And 90+% of what we do at docks is exactly what we need to be doing at docks. But we have an opportunity, and that opportunity is to do more of a defensive dock. Docking, whether we're unloading or delivering or if we're picking up. we need to take it an extra step further. When you go to a dock, and let's say it doesn't have lighting, it doesn't have a dock lock, or even if it doesn't have wheel chocks, when you're into the dock, make sure that you have all your brakes set. Make sure that that truck is not going to roll anywhere while it's in the dock. As they're loading, unloading, don't move the truck at all. Once it's done, when you feel that it's done, validate that the people who are loading and or unloading the unit have completed the task, the doors are closed, everything is safe for you to pull out. Don't make any assumptions. You know, I want to say that we have an opportunity there to make it 100% safe, and we need to do that. That's part of our professional drivers' responsibility. You know, some people may go back and, hey, throw the door open or something, you know. You can't control that, but if you know that there's somebody going in and out of that trailer, or let's say they forget to put load locks back into there and they have to go back in, if they do that, validate that they are out of the trailer, the door's closed and everything before you proceed to pull out of a door. You know, we really need to do that. It's for the safety of everybody. You know, we don't want to get anybody hurt, that's for sure. And that is an opportunity that's out there where we could have an incident, that we don't have to have an incident. I think by following those steps and being the professional that you are, we can prevent anything like that from happening.
If it can happen, it will happen.
It will.
Eventually.
Yep. No, that's right.
For an example.
Yep. And I get it. You know, our guys, they have a lot to do, you know. The guys and gals that drive for us, driving's a tough job. You know, it really is. And there's all these different things. It's not just coming in and pushing a truck down the road. You know, it's not that easy. A lot of people say, oh, yeah, it's easy to get out there. Well, it's not. It's not. From the time you get a dispatch and you got to deal with all that, and then you're dealing with customers, you're dealing with brokers, you're dealing with planners, you're dealing with driver managers, you're dealing with shop folks. You know, you deal with all these people. Then you get out on the road and you deal with the motoring public. And this time of the year now, you've got people who drive a little Honda all winter long, or something small. And now all of a sudden they're behind the wheel of a motor home, or they're pulling a fifth wheel down the road, and they got kids in the cab and they're jumping around and screaming. And, you know, these people are dealing with things that they don't deal with typically. You guys are dealing with that on the roads as well. You know, construction. Here we go. It's everywhere, especially just between here and Jerome. You know, you got 15 miles of construction just going that way. So just a lot of opportunities out there for our drivers, and you do a great job. Dock safety is another one of those. Let's make sure that we stay heightened on awareness and make sure we don't have any issues in any docks.
Yeah, an example of that is years ago, some of these produce sheds used to give you a piece of paper you fill out on how you wanted your truck loaded, and then they'd have a piece of tape and you'd stick it on the inside of the trailer so that when you're backed in the dock, they'd just come grab that paper and load it that way. Mm-hmm. We had a guy that backed into the dock, forgot to put that paper in. Well, produce, they load 2 pallets at a time. He thought, well, I'll just go back there real quick. There was a slot, and he stuck his hand up in there to put that paper right as they came in the trailer. Skinned him from the elbow to his fingertips. Yeah.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah, it was a bad deal. So if it can happen, it will happen.
Yeah.
Use some common sense.
You can almost just like we do in the shop, practice a lockout, tag out type situation. Obviously in the hot summer, you're going to be idle in your truck, so your keys are in it. But if the weather's out nice and you can roll your windows down, just take your keys out and throw them on the floor until you're ready to go. So
that's a good tip. It's a good tip there. We talked a little bit about equipment. We've got Freightliners, we've got Volvos, we've got Peterbilts, we've got Thermo King carrier units, utilities, just all kinds of different equipment. What are some of the differences?
So there's there's almost like no different with equipment when it comes to breaking down anything like that. Pretty much all trucks, trailers, they're all preference usually. Like for reefer wise, I would recommend a Thermo King. Most drivers recommend Thermo Kings just because they're quieter, make less noise, allow you to sleep a little better. A lot of our leasers have said they spend a lot less on fuel if they're pulling one of those as well. So we've been kind of slowly getting out of the carrier game into the Thermo King game for that reason. For Volvos and Freightliners, Freightliners have a 72-inch sleeper. Volvos have an 80-inch sleeper, so you get a little more room in a Volvo. They do have a table in the back there. Most people don't use it because once you put your bed on it, you never want to pull that off again. So, but they all have TV mounts, inverters. We try to make sure they have everything they need, spec-wise, so a driver can be comfortable in there. Pretty much the same horsepower, same fuel economy, etc. So
It's just pretty much a choice thing then.
yeah, and most of the choices we make that are for things are to be better are for like the reefers and the trailers. So, but truck wise, we try to give a variety because not everyone's into the same truck or whatnot. So.
Well, maybe the folks that are watching the podcast here or listening to it, maybe in the comments down below, put on there, what is your preference of truck? What is your preference of trailer? And maybe what's your preference of reefer unit? Be kind of nice to see what your thoughts are.
Yeah, and that is one of the questions we ask the new drivers coming into. So as soon as we hear back from your questionnaire or anything, if you're in the hiring process or whatnot, that's like one of the number one things we look at. Some people smoke, some people have pets, so that's a varying factor as well when choosing trucks. So we try to keep likewise drivers in the same truck. So hopefully, a guy who doesn't smoke isn't getting into a truck from a guy that was smoking, etc.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that never changes in all those pieces of equipment is the cost of tires. This heat coming on, we need to be watching them air pressures, catching these tires that are going quicker. I'm sure you guys get calls 24/7 on tire issues.
Yeah, we do a lot of tires. Like I think in the last 2 months, we've got one tire guy and he did like 120 trailer tires or something. So
That's a lot of tires.
So the good thing is we're doing them at our shop and not over the road. They're a little more expensive if we do it that way. So we're getting new ones on there. That goes back to, you got to check your stuff. We have to know if something's bad, if you're dropping it with the tire, if you need a tire fix, etc. Don't just keep driving it down the road, anything like that. There are usually multiple locations we can do for tires just because we have 3 or 4 national accounts that we can use. So we can get a tire anywhere. Usually places are pretty quick when it's just a tire. So just pre-trips, post-trips, all that. If you get big enough hole in a tire, it only takes like 50 miles to ruin that tire going down the road flat. So,
what's your advice to these owner-operators to extend the life of their tires?
Well, we pretty much did everything for them and put halos on the trucks. So the only tires that you have to check here are the steer tires for air pressure. But that is a joke because you still need to check your drives and make sure those halos are working.
Mm-hmm.
What about rotations?
Rotations, usually about every 50,000 miles on the steers is recommended. Sometimes if they're wearing really well, then you might not want to touch them because if they're doing really well, you might just leave them. Drives about every 100,000 miles. Again, it's all subject from inspection just to see if it's really worth it to move it. Mm-hmm. Usually the right side steer tire on that right outer edge is what wears faster because your truck is always tilted to the right slightly. So you got the most pressure on that outside edge of that tire. So it's pretty important to rotate the steers if you want to get a little more miles out of them. We use Michelin XLEZ Plus tires. They just came out with a new one, so we're not sure how that one's going to run just yet, but we have quite a few trucks. I think we've outfitted about 10 to 15 trucks with them so far. So it's kind of a test thing. It's supposed to be like 17% better, run-wise or whatnot. So hopefully that saves some money there as well. But yeah, always check your tires. Those halos, they won't inflate the tires if you're sitting, only when you're rolling. So every morning, go thump your tires, something like that. Make sure you're good.
Oh, that's good.
Before you put the air to them.
Yeah.
Question. So we talked about maintenance. We talked about tires. What if one of our professional drivers has an issue? If it's, say it's during business hours or it's after hours, what's the best way to make contact, and who do they need to contact?
So if it is an emergency where you need someone right away, I'm going to always recommend calling in. So we do have the phones 24/7, so someone on call can reach you. It is just two guys in the shop on the phones at all the time. So it's either me or Steve that's going to answer the phone. Sometimes we're on the phone at the same time. If you do call in, number one thing, leave a message. You know, sometimes we get calls, no message. It's like, can't help you.
Yeah.
We didn't get any sort of communication there. So give us a call if it's an emergency, something quick, anything like that. If you are just trying to schedule some maintenance in at the shop, or you're letting us know you're going to go get a DOT done at a Love's truck stop or something, you can send a simple email to shop@giltner.com. And that's a simple form of communication as well. So it's usually by phone or email.
Great.
But most drivers have my phone number, I feel like, and have been texting me. Don't text and drive.
That's right. That's right. Don't want any of that.
I think they've got a wealth of knowledge through this episode.
Yeah, that's right. It's
Yeah.
a pretty good episode. Pretty good episode.
Yeah, speaking of knowledge, I think it's really important to invest the time to learn the equipment you're in. I feel like there's several drivers out there that, you know, are asking questions that blows my mind when it's like the most simple thing, you know. So like pretty much there's YouTube University out there if you need to figure something out. There's the manual to the book. I mean, you can still call us with simple questions, things like that, but invest that time. So like simple things like just on that reefer, you know, that RPM code with that throttle solenoid rod, you know, fix it with a paper clip. Just because I've invested the time to learn reefers and the trucks and all that, you know, that's why I'm able to do stuff like that. So always learn new things, always be wanting to learn new things, you know, and you'll just grow as a driver. You'll be more efficient because you don't have to rely on people to help you all the time. Invest in a set of tools as well. Like I said, a lot of things are super simple, and especially if you're leasing, time is money. So
Know where your fuse box is.
yeah,
That's right.
Fuse box on Freightliners is in front of the passenger seat behind the gray panel. On the Volvos, it is on top of the dash under the triangle panel. It can be kind of a pain to prop up, but you kind of need a flathead screwdriver, so invest in tools. And on the Peterbilt, it's down by your feet, and they all have some fuses on the firewall.
You bet. You know, talking about knowing your equipment and stuff, we'll go back and talk a little bit about something that did happen to one of our trucks. It was in California. It was on Donner in wintertime, and the driver had chained up, but I don't think that they knew exactly how to chain up correctly. A couple things that had happened. One thing is if you look at a chain, it's got hooks on the end, and you don't want those hooks to dig into your tires, so you always want to put them to the outside of the tire, and you want to tighten those chains up. In this case, it didn't happen, and it ruined a bunch of tires on the unit. And so, of course, the driver was stuck at that point. They had blowout tires, and chains had fallen off, and it wasn't doing any good. Had to get a wrecker in there to grab that. The wrecker did some damage on the front end of the truck. You know, everybody lost on that one. The driver, they lost a lot of time. The tires, we lost a bunch of tires on it. We broke a bunch of chains, did damage to the front of the truck. I heard at one point it was like a $30,000 bill. Time we paid for the wrecker, the damage on the front of the trailer or front of the truck, and then all the tires and stuff. It was just, it didn't need to happen, you know?
I guarantee there's a bunch of YouTube videos on how to chain.
Yeah, there is. We play one in orientation even. So, and another thing too is like just because you watch a video doesn't mean you can do it. So it's a good idea to like even get out and like practice these things when you're not in a situation buried in the snow and you're gonna know how to do it because you practice it on flat ground. You know, in the summertime or something like that where you weren't having all the issues. So just practice what you preach in there. So
No, absolutely.
Ask
Absolutely.
questions.
For
If you
sure.
don't know, ask questions.
yeah, don't be afraid to ask questions. Not everybody knows everything. So
No, good point. Good
Brye's cell phone number's right here.
yeah.
point. That's right. That's right. Well, Brye, what do you have for closing comments?
Pretty much just keep communication. Steve and I want to do the best we can to help you over the road, save you some money, tips and tricks, things like that. Something that would really help us is if you just let us know about things that need fixed, if you're going to drop them, if they have tires, lights, whatever. We have several drop yards where we have techs that we use at those locations all the time, so we can easily get stuff fixed and get work scheduled that way. So if you are bringing stuff to the yard, we did have some like banners up for a little while letting you know. They're kind of hard to see sometimes, but pretty much any empty trailer you bring to the yard, you are going to drop it. You're not going to take that same trailer. You're going to drop it out back on the west side of the shop out in the gravel there, and then you're going to take a new empty on the north side on that 45-degree angle line that's been gone through the shop. It's had tires, etc. So it should just be an in and out process there, so we can keep you rolling.
That's great. That's great. Kenny?
Unless they're loaded.
That's right. Any closing thoughts, Kenny?
No, I just want to thank Brye for taking time out. I know he's busy over there to share his wealth of knowledge and maybe help some of these guys out there.
No, that's right. That's right.
Appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, and likewise, Brye, I want to thank you for coming out here today. You, Steve, your team, everything that you do for the team, very much appreciated. You guys work hard and try. You got a lot of equipment that you have to go through, and you do an amazing job. I also want to thank our drivers, our professional drivers that are out there moving freight every single day. We know it's not an easy job. You're doing an amazing job. I want to thank you very much for what you do, and I guess this is going to be a close for this episode. So appreciate you joining us. If you see something, say something. Other than that, we'll see you down the road.
See ya.
See ya.